guys. If you are hungry to get your life on track, you are in the right place because so am I. And I decided to start with my money. I set myself a challenge, no spend, in 2023, and I'm at the end of month 2. So far, I have saved $9,991. It's been a good 2 months. Not perfect. There are a couple of stupid things that I bought, but I give myself props. It was a good 2 months. I earned $10,023 in January, and I saved $5,938 of that. I earned $8,017 in February, and I saved $4,055 of that. And so that's 50% savings rate, and a lot of that was inspired by the fact that I just cut down to nothing my spending on clothing, home decor, and makeup. My big hope is that I'll be able to increase my savings rate from this 50% area to 60%. So saving 60% and only spending 40. So that's moving right along, definitely in the direction I want to go, and I want to share some of the things that I'm learning along the way with you guys. Yeah, guys, you knew it was coming. Everybody says it, and in this case, everybody's saying it because it's true. You gotta have a budget, and not just a budget sort of in the air, a budget on a piece of paper, an actual written budget. I remember reading the book that gave me my aha moment. I was reading that book by Lisa Nichols, Abundance Now, and it's the first time I ever heard anybody talk about a budget in this way. She said, I would not invest in a company that didn't have a functioning operating budget. And when she said that, it was one of those whoa moments. I really get it now. I wouldn't invest in me. I don't have a functioning operating budget. I have no really detailed idea of where my money is going and where I wanted my money to go. And so, yeah, basically what I was saying to myself is, Deirdre, I wouldn't invest in you. Deirdre, I wouldn't bank you. Deirdre, I wouldn't back you. And so now I say the opposite. I've got a budget in hand. It's actually the Dave Ramsey every dollar budget. I use it religiously, and I remind myself with every time I use it, I'm literally investing in myself by doing so. You can do a bunch of things with your budget. Yeah, you can track where your money is going. You can also plan where you want your money to go. And so we kind of look at the end going in, and we look at the end goal, and we get this big kind of comprehensive vision of what our money is about and where it's going. But I'm finding that my budget does even more than that. It actually gives me a lot of perspective on who I am and what I care about. Yeah. In that budget, I've got to have those base essentials. I've got to have what Dave Ramsey calls the 4 walls. Yeah, I've got to have transportation, I've got to have housing, I've got to have food, and I've got to have utilities. I've got to be able to turn the lights on when I get home. So those are the base essentials, right? We've got the basic things that our bodies need to function and feel safe. But that's not all we need. Yeah, what about our core essentials? What about those things that on the inside are so valuable to us that without them, our lives feel empty and devoid of value and meaning? They actually really matter too. I remember, this is kind of embarrassing, but I decided to go ahead and fill out one of those dating app things. And so I was filling out the profile, and I thought I was filling out the profile so someone could see who I was. But I realized as I was doing it, with every question in the dating app that I answered, I got more and more insight into me. And I feel like my budget does the same thing. If I've got this penny, I've got to decide what matters to me. And that's a very personal question. Who am I, and what are my core essential values? And I've come to realize they are beauty, learning, service, and music. And those are the things that without them, my life does not feel like my life anymore. So my budget must accommodate both my base essentials and my core essentials to be a true reflection of who I am and what I care about. So how does that work for me? Well, if you look at my budget, you'll see that there is a category that I call an education fund. And that is there to allow me to buy books, to do exploration, and research. And I could go to the library. I mean, that's a much more cost-effective way of doing it. But I devour books. I eat them up. I'm one of those people that when it's a book that's going to teach me something, I'm highlighting and underscoring and dog-earing pages and putting in little notes, and there's just no way I could do that with a library book. I also am a musician, I am a teacher, and I just want to keep growing. I want to keep getting better. I want to do the thing that I do. I want to do it on a higher level, and I want to be able to share it with the people who walk into my life asking to learn from me. You'll see in my budget, I've got a viola fund, and that's where I get music and new strings, new rehair. I also have a plane ticket fund. And I've created that so that every month I can squirrel away a little bit of resource so that I can go out to the teachers I've known in the past. I can go out to new people that I'm meeting and I can play for them. And I can gain their wisdom. I can learn from them. I can share what I'm learning with my students. And every time I do that, it requires a plane ticket. It requires a car rental. It requires a hotel stay. And those resources have to be planned. And since this is a core essential for me, I'm planning that into my budget. One of my other core essentials is beauty. Beauty is a tricky one. You have to be really careful when we're asking the question about core essentials because it can take us into not a good place. I've known people who are like, well, you know, having a designer bag is one of my core essentials. I just cannot do without that. And it's not actually true. The bag is not your core essential. The bag is representing something that is your core essential, and that's beauty. You want beauty in your life, and the bag brings that beauty into your life. But once you recognize what your core essential is, you'll suddenly start to see opportunities for beauty all around you. Beauty is one of my core essentials too, and I got myself into a really bad situation just spending way too much money on makeup and clothing. And now that I recognize that it's not the clothing and it's not the makeup, it's the beauty that I hunger for, I just start seeing it everywhere around me free of charge. So once your budget is rocking along and you're getting this really clear vision of who you are, what you want, what's coming into your life, what's going out of your life, and where you want the remainder to go, the only next question is going to be, well, what are your goals? What do you want to do with these resources that you're starting to create? And that's another, again, very personal question. You know, we've got two categories of goals. There's the short-term goals and the long-term goals. A short-term goal might be going on a trip with your family, or a short-term goal for me, for example, might be just safety and stability because I got so just dysregulated in 2022. My personal number one short-term goal for 2023 is just to stabilize. Yeah, and I've got a category of things in my budget that I call peace of mind funds. I remember reading Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace, that book, and he had one sentence in there that really kind of made me stop and pause. We get, you know, those of you that are into Dave Ramsey know he's got his emergency fund. But in one sentence only in that book, he says, if you know it's coming, it's not an emergency. And that sentence just like tripped me out. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. I know at some point my car is going to break down. So that's not an emergency when it happens. I didn't know when it was coming, but I knew it was coming at some point. And that's why I've created a car repair fund. I know at some point the cheap little $4,000 car that I bought in cash is going to just die on me beyond the point of any repair. And that's why I have, oh crap, my car died, buy a new car fund that I squirreled away and saved those resources for. I know at some point I'm going to trip and my tablet's going to fly across the room, or I'm going to stumble and my phone's going to fall in the toilet. Some ridiculous thing is going to go wrong with my technology. And since I rely on this technology to live, I'm going to have a peace of mind fund for my technology. Things like this. Yeah, as a professional musician, my income is sporadic, so I always want to tuck things away to make sure during the summer months when things are more lean that I have resources there to live. I always want to tuck away a little bit every month to make sure that I'm up to date on my taxes. because the last person you want to owe is the IRS. We've all learned that the hard way. And so these are my peace of mind funds. And because I lost my mind in 2022, I completely decimated those funds. So my number one goal is to fill them all up so I am surrounded by a little safety net for all the things that could go wrong in life, including my emergency fund. If it's something I know that's coming, and it's not what my emergency fund is for, what is my emergency fund for? It's for the stuff I didn't see coming. It's for the stuff I couldn't have thought, couldn't imagine, couldn't plan. So next comes your long-term goals. And this could be a lot. It could be you wanting to buy a house someday. It could be you preparing for your retirement. It could be you making sure that your kid's college fund is already set up. It could be what it is for me, which is figuring out some way to make sure that I can reduce my expenses by not having to pay a rent or a mortgage. I really want to do a house hack. I really want to purchase multi-unit residential real estate, live in one of the units for free while the remaining units pay the mortgage and add to my retirement income. That is a really big goal I have for myself, particularly as a woman who's 60 years old, who's coming to this money game late and does not have a lot of retirement savings put away. And so as I'm looking through this budget that I'm creating, this new investment in really organizing my spending a little bit better, I see the possibility of me doing this in 3 years. I can definitely, get on board with that. So now that I've got some vision of what my goals are, and I've got some overview of what matters to me to enter into my budget, now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna reach my goal faster. And the only way to do that is by reducing my spending. And that's another one that can make folks just really, really anxious because it can be a little uncomfortable. It's hard, The good news is there are a couple of different ways to reduce your expenses, and they have a different impact on your life. There's low impact, medium impact, and high impact. The low impact ones are the ones that you do them and you hardly even notice that you did them. You like a little bit of a hassle on the front end, like you change your bank, or you change your phone carrier, or you change your car insurance company or something like that. And each one of these things just kind of lowers those expenses a little tiny bit. And then those little savings start to add up to not such a small amount after a while. And you don't even notice that you've done it. There's no hardship, there's no change to your everyday life. Here in my budget, I am seeing the following things. Not so happy with my current bank. I was originally a Compass Bank customer, and Compass Bank was bought out by PNC. I have 3 accounts. I have a personal checking, a personal savings, and a business checking. And they're charging me $3 in fees for one, $7 in fees for another, and $9 in fees for the latter. And I'm like, why am I just giving these people $20 a month? And so one of my plans for this summer is to change banks to someplace that's not going to charge me crazy fees like that, because that's insane. And another thing I have is Fractured Atlas, a great organization. Really, I respect them tremendously. They're an umbrella nonprofit organization for artists like me. But there's a project I was going to do that I decided to put on the back burner, but I'm still paying Fractured Atlas $10 a month. That's basically a subscription that I really don't need right now. Doesn't hurt to go back and snip away the subscriptions. I will not even notice the absence of Fractured Atlas. Another subscription I'm going to let go of is Disney Plus. I'm kind of enjoying it, but I feel a little bit like, I watch Hulu more often than not anyway. I think I might watch like season 3 of The Mandalorian and then snip, goodbye to Disney Plus. That's another $10. And so I'm looking at my numbers, and just that quick, I save $40 a month, and I didn't even notice any changes in my life of any significance. Yeah. If we move into the medium impact areas, those are the ones you kind of feel a little bit more. You buy different groceries, or you buy groceries in a different place. You turn off the lights as you go in and out of a room. These are kind of everyday changes that you'll be more aware of. Maybe you set the thermostat to a temperature that's a little bit warmer than you're 100% comfortable with, but you can live with it even though it's not like 100% awesome. And in my life personally, my goal is going to be to reduce my spending on my groceries. I'm feeling really good about that, and I went through my spreadsheet and found a way to reduce my groceries by $40. I actually have a budget line for wine because I do like to have a couple of glasses of wine at the end of the day. But I also, tick, 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 want to save a little bit when I can, and so I decided to drink wine spritzers instead. I add just a little bit of seltzer to my wine, and I'm able to buy less wine, and by so doing, save a little bit of money, and I'm able to save $60 doing that. And so the total between just those couple of things in the low impact and medium impact categories end up at $140 a month. That's not a horrible thing. That's almost $1,700 a year. And I had to go to an investment calculator to try to figure out how that $140 would add up for me over time. And so what are we looking at? Initial investment, let's say $1,700 after a year. And then if I continue, every month I put in another $140. Okay, I can hang with that because I can live without Disney Plus for a minute. I keep going, and 6% rate of return. I think let's be a little less conservative. I'll say 8%. Do it monthly, calculate, and don't do that for 10 years, and I have $30,000 in the bank. That is not a hardship. I'd rather have the $30,000 than Disney Plus. Disney Plus, not a core essential for me. The final category is high impact. And these are the things you are gonna feel. You're not gonna be able to say, it's running in the background. No, it's gonna completely turn your life upside down. These things must be temporary, because there's a limit on how long we can live with that sense of upheaval, because upheaval they will provide. One example might be selling your home and moving into someplace smaller, or leaving a larger rental and moving into a smaller rental. I actually did that. I lived in a big fancy downtown loft, and I moved into a little dinky kind of scungy place in a little dinky scungy neighborhood, and I was a little scared of my neighbors, I will not lie, but it reduced my rent by $500 a month. I lived there for about a year and a half, and that was a tremendous amount of savings for me that I could use to help get myself moving forward toward my goals. You can take in a roommate. You can move in with your parents. It's not great, but it's something that can definitely help you get on track. You can house hack, which is the thing I'm looking forward to learning more about. Other things you could do is sell your furniture, sell as many of your belongings as I can. I've done that also, really helped me during that patch when I was making the transition into this new world. You will look around and you won't have a sofa, so you will definitely feel the impact of these changes. But if they are temporary, they can be incredibly useful. They can be a great sort of bump to get you through as you're making the big transition into your exciting new life. And the final, I would say number one, I should take that back. The number one thing to help you move forward with your goals is your budget. The number two, and it is a close second, is eliminating reckless spending. It is the bane of all of our existences. It will, as I discovered in 2022, it can derail all of your best efforts spending without thinking about it. And that's why those two things are connected. The budget keeps reminding you what matters. So that you don't recklessly spend on things that don't. I guarantee you, there are people that are gathered together around, a video conference table trying to come up with exciting new ways to distract you into spending money you didn't plan to spend. So you reclaim your power, you make your choices, you follow your budget, and you reach your goals. And I'm hoping my very best to do the same with you. Looking forward to seeing you guys next time.